the Dawgs Podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
Hey, what's up, Browns fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Dawgs Podcast. Josh All, your host. Happy Super Bowl Sunday to everybody out there who celebrates, and you should be celebrating because it's the last football game for a long time. We're about to go into the dark ages of the year when it comes to football fandom, because there's going to be a huge stretch here where all we want is to get football back on our television screens, back on the fields. So enjoy it. Tonight, Seahawks, Patriots. It's going to be a good one. We'll talk a little bit more about later. Today, I've got your mock draft 3.0 for this offseason. I'm going to go through this one a little more quickly than my previous ones. First of all, I'm kind of pressed for time right now to make this episode for you guys. I want to get the content ready and get it out to you. And I also have a couple voicemails I want to touch on at the end of this. You guys keep sending in your messages, and I want to keep playing them for you because you guys are bringing up some good things to talk about. So that's thedawgspodcast.com if you want to leave a voicemail, and go to jointhedawgs.com if you want to be part of the Discord community, the Dog Pack. Hang out with all the diehard Browns fans in there, and we can talk about free agency coming up. We can talk about the draft, the prospects, the people that I'm going to bring up on the show here today. Continue the conversation about Todd Monken and who his staff is going to be, what's happening with Jim Schwartz. It's all going on in the Dog Pack, and that's at jointhedawgs.com. Okay, I'm going to kick things into this mock draft because I know some people were not thrilled that on the last video I did the voicemails first, the mock draft last. Whatever, we'll make you guys happy. Mock draft 3.0. Here we go, and we are going to change up the way I've been doing it the first two mock drafts. I went wide receiver first. In 1.0, it was Cardinal Tate. And mock draft 2.0, I took Mekhi Lemon, my top two favorite receivers in this draft. Today, though, things are changed up a little bit. Pick 6, offensive tackle Spencer Fano out of Utah, 6'5", 304 pounds. Spencer Fano is one of the favorites to be the first tackle taken in the 2026 NFL Draft, and his raw talent serves as a powerful separator underneath a profile that's becoming more refined. 6'5", 304 Fano has a combined athletic and power profile that's near impossible to replicate. His acceleration is lethal when transversing gaps, launching off the line, and exploding into space, and his burst, length, and leverage make him a natural-born displacer in the run game. With a combative finishing mentality as a pass blocker, Fano's anchor footwork still needs work, but he improved his feet replacement and anchor swivel in 2025. He's always brought rapid recalibration, quickness, and force as a hand fighter, along with incredible recovery, athleticism, and range. But in 2025, he built off of that quickness with improved hand strike precision and upper-lower sink, adding up kicks and violent snatches to his game, a scheme-versatile run-blocking savant with the elite matching athleticism and recovery to thrive in pass protection. Fano has impact, starter potential. I am securing the tackle position in this draft, and for this instance here, the situation I'm going to lay out for you guys here today, Spencer Fano will be the new left tackle for the Cleveland Browns, because if you remember, he started his career, I believe he started the career at Utah playing left tackle, made the switch to right tackle, and then his counterpart, Caleb Lomu, ended up playing the left tackle. So Fano can play both positions, has experience playing both positions, and for all intents and purposes today, and you'll see why when I get to the pick later, I need Spencer Fano to move back to left and play left tackle for probably, hopefully, let's see what happens, Shedeur Sanders in 2026. Moving on here to pick 24. I have changed up my opinion and my ordering a little bit on these wide receivers. I've been talking about getting the top 3. You must get a receiver out of the big 3, the Tate, the Lemon, and the Jordan Tyson tier of receivers. And now for me, I have now expanded that tier to include one other player to my big 4 wide receivers for the first round in this draft, and I will be happy if the Browns take any one of them, and I'm taking wide receiver Denzel Boston out of Washington. 6'3", 210 pounds. Denzel Boston entered his junior season at Washington poised to headline the Huskies receiving corps after waiting his turn behind NFL stars like Rome Odunze, Jalen Polk, and Jalen McMillan. Standing at 6'4", 210 pounds, Boston broke out in 2024 with a 63 reception, 834 yard, 9 touchdown receiving line, thriving as a red zone mismatch and showing off his expansive catch radius and reliable hands. While not an especially twitchy athlete, Boston moves efficiently for his size, stacks cornerbacks on the outside with smooth explosion and long strider speed, and completes well through contact. He boasted a minuscule 1.2% drop rate in 2025. He also caught 881 yards and 11 touchdowns on 62 receptions. Boston's ability to high point passes and make difficult grabs makes him a go-to weapon when space tightens, and he magnifies his vice grip hand strength with intelligent timing control and catch point positioning. With more than enough fluidity, tempo management skills, and zone IQ to function as a route runner, Boston has an appealing X-receiver profile and has impact starter potential. There's that phrase again, impact starter potential. We got two of those guys here in the first round. I do think Denzel Boston is a legitimate wide receiver one at the NFL level. I've been watching more tape on him, reading up on him, doing some more study, and the dude is just a beast. He is a big physical force, and I know a lot of people. I'm going to do a wide receiver. I keep saying this. I'm working on the notes now. I'm almost ready to go. I got a wide receiver episode coming up, and I know people want to compare Denzel Boston to the guy we mentioned there in that write-up, Rome Odunze, who also played at Washington. They are similar, except Rome Odunze was, I'm trying to think how I want to explain this really. His calling card was his contested catch. You throw it up, he comes down with it. That's what he likes to do. He didn't really have the big time speed, and he was a good route runner, but his separation was not at a high level. Whereas Denzel Boston, from what I'm watching and seeing, he can separate at a high level, and he's also a contested catch savant. I do think Denzel Boston has the potential to actually be even better than Rome Odunze at the NFL level. And if you remember, Odunze went in, I think it was the top 10 in his draft. So to get a guy like that at 24 for the Browns, I would be ecstatic, and I really am rising on Denzel Boston out of Washington. This episode is sponsored by Surfshark VPN. Browns fans, I know I can't be the only one. Have you ever searched something random like, I don't know, how to make French toast, and suddenly you're getting ads for all kinds of different recipes? Yeah, me too. It's a bit scary how much the internet seems to know about me these days. Thankfully, today's sponsor, Surfshark VPN, can help us out with that. A VPN is a virtual private network which allows me to mask my real IP address. It's like putting a guardian cap on my online data, essentially meaning that my activity online is safe and no longer being tracked. Ever wonder just how much of your personal identity is floating around online? Every click, every scroll, every late night mock draft that you do, all of it can be logged, tracked, and sold. With Surfshark, all that data stays yours. When I'm connected, Surfshark encrypts everything I do online, so even my internet provider or nosy advertisers can't see what I'm up to. It's like finally being able to shut the blinds on your digital life, total privacy, total control, and honestly, it's a relief knowing I can browse freely without constantly worrying who's watching. And this is a big one for me. Surfshark does not keep logs, like at all. That means even if someone wanted to see what I've been up to online, there's literally nothing to show them. Most people don't realize this, but some VPNs do keep records of your activity, which kind of defeats the point of privacy, right? Surfshark's strict no logs policy means they don't monitor, track, or store any of your browsing data. It's like wiping your digital footprints clean the second you take a step. I find that so reassuring knowing that what I do online stays my business and no one else's. And Surfshark has other great products like their antivirus add-on. We tend to think viruses are a laptop problem, but they can hit phones, tablets, anything really. That's why Surfshark Antivirus is such a smart add-on. It's built right into the app and runs quietly in the background, protecting against malware, trojans, and all that nasty stuff that can sneak in from downloads or dodgy sites. I love that I don't need a separate antivirus subscription. Surfshark just handles it. It's one less thing to worry about and one more reason I feel properly covered online. So start protecting your online identity today with Surfshark. You can try it right now with a risk-free 30-day money-back guarantee. Go to surfshark.com/dogs, DAWGS, or use code DOGS at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. Link and code are in the description. Surfshark.com/dogs, code DOGS. Moving on into the second round, pick 39. This is why Spencer Fano needs to play left tackle, because I am going to take And I want to make sure I pronounce it correctly. We did this. This guy was on the Senior Bowl Risers show with Barry Shuck this past week, and it is offensive tackle Max Ihenachor. Whatever. We're taking Big Max out of Arizona State, 6'6", 325 pounds. Max Ihenachor originally comes from Nigeria, did not play football in high school at all, but just several years into his career already, he has emerged as a potential early round prospect in the 2026 NFL draft. At 6'5", 315 with over 34-inch arms, Ihenachor, I'm going to figure out how to say his name. Ihenachor checks off all the physical boxes NFL evaluators are looking for. He is long, strong, explosive, with elite foot speed and reactive athleticism. Additionally, for his experience level, he has an inspiring pass set and already a sense of synergy in pass protection. And he's an urgent, powerful run blocker who knows how to flip his hips, stack blocks, seal out pursuit defenders, and find creative solutions when defenders muddy up gap looks. He'll be a slightly older rookie, but Ihenachor has the tools and intangibles to be a quality starter as a natural right tackle. I'm not messing around taking a kid like this and saying, well, let's try to get you over at the left. No, this guy has not played, he's only played football for a handful of years. And he's already playing right tackle at this high of a level. You keep his ass right there at right tackle and you put Spencer Fano at left tackle, your bookends of this offensive line are now in place. So that's where we go. Pick 39, offensive tackle Max Ihenachor out of Arizona State. Moving on, pick 70, a guy that I don't know by the time the draft rolls around in April if he will be available in this range for the Browns. But right now, per mock draft database, this is where he's going. And at pick 70, I'm taking the compliment. To me, the ultimate compliment to Denzel Boston at pick 24. Here at pick 70 is wide receiver Omar Cooper Jr. out of Indiana. 6 feet tall, 200 pounds. Omar Cooper Jr. is one half of Indiana's dynamic duo at wide receiver, and like his teammate Elijah Surratt, it's entirely possible that he's off the board within the top 100 picks in the 2026 NFL draft. At 6 feet, 201, Cooper is a dense, compact pass catcher with a low center of gravity and effortless explosiveness and vertical stretching. He can extend seams as a rack threat with his range and contact balance, and he has the quickness and prying strength to work through adjacent contact. But he also flashes great salesmanship and tempo control as a route runner. Drops can be an issue on occasion for Cooper, and he has room to keep refining his route tree in the intermediate range. But overall, he's a budding 3-level threat with a particular affinity for rack accumulation and vertical advances. And Omar Cooper will be a part of my wide receiver discussions coming up for you guys here in the coming weeks. For 2025, he had 91 targets, 69 receptions, 937 yards. That was good for 13.6 average with 13 touchdowns for Indiana on that championship roster. And you guys know the stat that I always look at the most for wide receivers before I even look at those targets and yards and catches and stuff is yards per route run. And I will get more into that, obviously, when we get to the wide receiver discussions. But just for today's topic here and for the sake of everything going on, I want a wide receiver. If you don't have over a 2.0 yards per route run, you're off my board. I can't even look at you if you're below 2. If you're between 2 and like 2.4, I'm okay with you being on my board, but you're probably going to be lower on my list. Anything over like a 2.4, anything over a 2.5, I'm really happy with. So to give you guys an idea, Omar Cooper Jr. is at 2.55 yards per route run, and then a guy like Denzel Boston is at 2.44. So both these guys right in the range I want them to be for yards per route run. We've got other metrics and things that I'm going to break down when I do that wide receiver show, but just to talk a little more about Omar Cooper Jr. here. He is a very heavy slot type of wide receiver. That's where he excels. That's where he plays. That's where he thrives. In the intermediate range, that's why I think he's a great complement to a guy like Denzel Boston, who you can stick. Honestly, Denzel Boston, let me look at the splits here real quick for him. He actually played 18% of his snaps in the slot, while Omar Cooper Jr. was 83. So they're pretty much flipped on how they go in and out of the formation, where they're playing at the wide receiver positions on the field. I would love to see Denzel Boston on the outside with Omar Cooper Jr. on the inside. And then if you've got Boston as your X, and then Omar Cooper is primarily playing your, Y, so then your Z receiver could be Jerry Jeudy. That's totally fine. To have Jerry Jeudy be the flanker while you've got the X receiver being Boston and your slot is Omar Cooper Jr., you have just really infused talent into your wide receiving core. So that's where I'm going with this pick. At 70, it's Omar Cooper Jr., the wide receiver out of Indiana. So there was a little bit of insight into the wide receiver conversations that we will be having coming up in the future. But to get back here to mock draft 3.0, we're moving into pick 107 for the Cleveland Browns, and it's back to the trenches. Offensive guard Kalen Rutledge out of Georgia Tech, 6'3", 316 pounds. Kalen Rutledge arrived at Middle Tennessee in 2022 and almost instantly factored into the starting rotation. After starting 17 games for the Blue Raiders, he transferred to Georgia Tech and made a similarly quick impact for the Yellow Jackets. He was a two-time first-team All-ACC competitor in his first time under Brent Key, and in 2025, he was a first-team All-American. Now, entering the 2026 NFL Draft, Rutledge stands out as a potential gem in the middle round range. At 6'4", 330 pounds, Rutledge is a compact block of fury inside the tackles. In fact, there's an argument to make no offensive lineman brings more energy and relentless zeal than him on a down-to-down basis. Rutledge is similarly energized with his foot speed and play pace, and he has the combined mass and width to levy devastating bouts of hand force and rotational torque. In the run game, he's assignment sound, angle sound, and role versatile with the hip flexibility to execute reach blocks, and in pass protection, he blends the line between patience and proactivity very well and is aggressive on help blocks. His limited knee bend affects his leverage acquisition and pad level maintenance, but he has the temperament to be a tone setter on Sundays. This is a guy I would love to see the Browns bring in here. So look at this offensive line now through this mock draft. You've got two tackles, your bookend tackles, and now you've got an offensive guard. Hopefully, hey, who knows? Maybe we're able to get a Tyler Linderbaum or something like that in free agency. We can build in the offensive line that way. There are some good guards, center prospects that we can. There's still Luke Whippler on the team. DeJuan Jones is still on the team. This offensive line could be reshaped and reformed if we're able to land on and hit on guys like Kalen Rutledge here at pick 107, the offensive guard out of Georgia Tech. Moving on to pick 139, we are taking edge rusher Tyreek Sapp out of Florida. 6'3", 275 pounds. Tyreek Sapp might not be the highest ranked Florida defender on the board, but he was the heart and soul of the Gators defense in 2024 with 7 sacks, 13 TFLs, and 2 forced fumbles. His production stalled in 2025, but he still has a compelling outlook for evaluators with projected alignment versatility. That's big. At 6'3", 275, he's a compact, high-mass, well-leveraged edge defender with fleet-footed acceleration, smooth lateral agility, inspiring ankle flexion, and bend capacity, imposing strength at contact and a red-hot motor that runs on all 3 downs. With his sawed-off build, Sapp does bring less than ideal length to the table, which limits his maximum raw power capacity at times. To that end, his margin for error is slimmer against longer blockers, and he's still refining his hand usage and precision. Nevertheless, the build, the motor, and the upward trajectory sells his stock. This would be a great guy for the Browns to get here. I believe this is the 5th round. We're in now at pick 139. Add him to the rotation, get him in there with Alex Wright and Isaiah McGuire and Cam Thomas, and I am really excited about the prospects of edge rusher Tyreek Sapp out of Florida here at pick 139. We've got 2 picks remaining that I'm going to do on this draft. I didn't even mention this at the top, but I'm only doing rounds 1 through 5 just like on the last mock, because after round 5, I don't really care. I don't even know if we're going to have those picks by the time the draft rolls around anyway, so let's just stick with these first 8 And the next one I'm going to talk about, pick 144. We're taking safety Lewis Moore out of Indiana, another Hoosier. Coming here, that Hoosier defense was so awesome this year. Give me anybody off that defense right now. 5'11", 190. Lewis Moore began his collegiate career as an unheralded recruit at JUCO Navarro College and steadily built himself into one of the most prolific ball hawks at the FBS level. Moore played at Navarro from 2019 through 2021. He joined the Hoosiers from 2022 to 23 before playing 1 year at Ole Miss. Curt Cignetti brought Moore back to Bloomington in 2025, and Moore rewarded his trust with a first-team All-Big Ten and first-team All-American campaign, logging 6 interceptions as a key piece of Indiana's championship defense. At 5'11", 191, Moore is close to average size with a below-average length profile, but he compensates with fluid athleticism, brisk closing speed, and an extremely calm, composed, and calculated intelligence that defines his game. He's one of the best in the class at managing positioning in zone. He reacts instantly to route breaks, and while his best plays come in space, he isn't afraid to be physical at contact. Bearing similarly to Julian Love, Moore is an older prospect, but he has impact starter upside as a versatile split field and single high safety. I'm getting another All-American. I'm getting an All-American off of the best defense in college football this past year. Curt Cignetti wanted this kid so bad he brought him back to Indiana after he already transferred away. Give me safety Lewis Moore out of Indiana at pick 144. And finally, to wrap up this conversation, pick 147, the last pick of this mock draft, is going to be tight end Tanner Koziol out of Houston, another guy that Barry Shuck brought to the table in the Senior Bowl talks the other day. So if you missed that episode, go back and hear what Barry saw from Tanner Koziol down in Mobile at the Senior Bowl. But we've got Tanner Koziol, 6'6", 245, big kid. Tanner Koziol specializes as a premier pass game weapon in the 2026 NFL Draft tight end class. Towering at 6'6", he resembles a power forward on the turf with his height, lean mass, and box out ability. For his size, he's a plus functional athlete. He's fairly fluid as a mover with solid hip flexibility, sink, foot speed, tempo freedom, all of which proves conducive to independent separation and zone navigation. Koziol can use his smooth mobility and size to throttle up seams and corners, and he proves proficient at using late hands and sharp timing to control positioning in one-on-one situations before capitalizing with body control. In the blocking phase, Koziol is much less consistent. He stands to add more mass, power, and play strength, as his sustain can suffer post-contact. That said, at the very least, he has usage versatility. He can block off motions and insert into interior gaps, get out in space, and for a taller tight end, he has the bend and flexibility to properly acquire leverage. In the immediate timeline, Koziol is a receiving tight end first with smooth mobility and fairly sound hands, but there is blocking upside present if he can improve his presence at the contact. I didn't mention at the top, Tanner Koziol, tight end out of Houston. So this is a kid Barry Shuck saw down in Mobile, was very excited about him, called him more of a project tight end, and I think that probably has a lot to do with the refinement areas that he's got to work on in the blocking part of the game. But this, I mean, the size, the athleticism, the play strength, the hands, the catching, but everything that he can do in the pass game, I think is worth investing in, especially this late in the draft in the 5th round. So give me at pick 147, tight end Tanner Koziol out of Houston. And just to recap, mock draft 3.0, pick 6, offensive tackle Spencer Fano out of Utah. Pick 24, wide receiver Denzel Boston out of Washington. Pick 39, offensive tackle Max Ihenachor out of Arizona State. Pick 70 is wide receiver Omar Cooper Jr. out of Indiana. Pick 107, offensive guard Keelan Rutledge out of Georgia Tech. Pick 139, edge rusher Tyreek Sapp out of Florida. Pick 144, safety Lewis Moore out of Indiana. And finally, pick 147, tight end Tanner Koziol out of Houston. So what do you guys think? Drop in the comments. Let me know. How did I do on Mock 3.0? These are fun exercises to do. I really enjoy looking at this. And I one of my favorite things about doing these mock drafts throughout the duration of the pre-draft process is when we get closer to April, and we're actually in April and getting closer to the draft. I like to look back and see, where was I mocking guys back in February when now the draft positioning has changed post-combine, post-senior bowl, all this stuff, pro days, everything that elevates draft stock for a lot of these guys, or knocks it down the board for some guys in other instances. And I like to compare, and I like to see who was I high on back then that maybe I'm not high on anymore. And it's just a fun exercise to do. You guys let me know how things went here for this mock draft in the comments. We're going to kick it over now to a couple voicemails before we wrap up. This episode is partnered with Kalshi. Browns fans, are you ready to put your money where your predictions are? With Kalshi, America's #1 regulated prediction market, you can legally trade on events that actually matter to you. And the best part is you don't need to predict specific stat lines and compile a 7-leg parlay just to win big. With Kalshi, the objective is either yes or no. Will Shedeur Sanders be the Browns' Week 1 starting quarterback? Will the Seattle Seahawks win the Super Bowl? Will Fernando Mendoza be the first overall pick in the NFL draft? And in other sports, will the Cavs make the NBA playoffs? You can put your money on these predictions and more with Kalshi. If you want to try it out, Kalshi is giving $10 to anyone who signs up at kalshi.com/dogs and trades $100. Get away from disadvantageous sports books and dive into real-world outcomes with real-time odds and real payouts. Head over to Kalshi, KALSHI.com/dogs, DAWGS, or just click the link in the description to get $10 when you trade $100 with Kalshi. Because why shouldn't you get paid for being right? Okay, now before I dive into the couple voicemails here, I forgot. Stacy, you actually sent in a mock draft, which I tell you guys to do if you want to. Send me in mock drafts that you do. You know, if I'm able, I will read them here on the show. Stacy says this is my ideal mock draft. I haven't even looked at her picks yet, but she says, I'm not sure that Mekhi Lemon will be available at 15, and I wish I could have gotten Carnell Tate over Jordan Tyson, but he was taken number 2 overall. Wow. It looks like she was using, looks like Mock Draft Database. She says, I wasn't giving assets for that. I traded with Tampa Bay to get from 24 to 15, giving up a 3rd round next year and 2 of our round 5 picks. Okay, cool. I don't mind giving up 5th round picks because those kind of suck. Anyway, so let's see what Stacy came away with here. If my screen would cooperate, she's got at number 6, she took Jordan Tyson, the wide receiver out of Arizona State. She traded up from 24 to 15 to get Mekhi Lemon, the wide receiver out of USC. If you come away with 2 of those big 4 receivers, I am just running out of the studio with my pants off. I'm never wearing pants again. I would be so freaking excited to get 2 of these guys, and especially if Mekhi Lemon is one of them. 39, looks like she went with Monroe Freeling, the offensive tackle out of Georgia. And then at 70, one of my favorite players, Chase Besantis, the interior offensive lineman out of Texas A&M. 107 is Michael Trigg, the tight end out of Baylor. And then at 139, she got safety out of Illinois, Xavier Scott. Stacy, I don't hate that draft one bit, especially if you're able, and again, I don't know what all you'd have to give up to move from 24 to 15. That's a pretty big jump in the first round. But in a draft like this, where the high-end elite talent is not what it is or was in previous drafts or is normally in a draft, I don't know. Maybe the Andrew Berry could get something done. And you said, I believe it was Tampa Bay that you traded with to get that move in place. So, man, Jordan Tyson and Mekhi Lemon, and then you get Freeling and Besantis. Whew, that would be awesome. I would love it. All right. First voicemail here before I get out of here. This one is from Hannah.
Hey, guys, it's Hannah. I am, feeling kind of like you guys, just sort of optimistic about how I'm feeling. I know I was so mad, but watching him with Shedeur and watching his press conference, I don't know, the dude is funny as fuck. I was like, okay, I can get down with this, but I don't want to say oh my god, he's gonna go out there and win every game. But I just think that he actually might be bringing a better, outlook to the team that we haven't had in a while. And I think that that's going to, shadow into offseason. I think that Jimmy Haslam and Andrew Berry are going to have more respect when he wants to draft a certain player or he wants to pick someone up in free agency. I think that they're going to have more respect for him because he's been in this for such a long time, and they might not be so analytic about everything. They might be like, okay, this guy is a football guy. You could tell by the way he was talking in that press conference that this is a football guy. And this is what Cleveland has needed.
All right, so it sounds like Hannah's coming around on the Todd Monken hire just like we are. I got to say, she's right. The press conference did move me more in favor of Todd Monken. I liked the stark difference between him and Kevin Stefanski when they're speaking to the media. I felt like, and I don't know if this is a good thing or I don't mean this as a bad thing, but I feel like there's more of an opportunity for somebody like Todd Monken to slip up and accidentally say something that maybe he shouldn't say to the media, where Kevin was very calculated. I'm not saying more than I have to. We're just going to, we'll work on it. We'll get it fixed. We got to be better. We got to do better. We got to coach better, blah, blah, blah. No, this guy is they ask him, how will you handle unsuccessful seasons if they come while you're the head coach? And he's like, not in my vocabulary. Basically there will be I don't do unsuccessful football. Okay. I mean, we won 8 games the last 2 years. So the bar is low. You've got to get moving if you want to have successful football here in Cleveland. But I like the mentality for Todd Monken. And I do think that his experience working with young players at the collegiate level will help him with the younger players right now on this team and in the NFL. I do think that it could open up opportunities in free agency that weren't there previously, because if you've been watching, he has been bringing coach after coach after coach from Baltimore over here to Cleveland. People seem to gravitate to him. They want to follow him. If he was some idiot coach that everyone's like, this guy doesn't know what he's doing, they wouldn't be coming with him. So I think that's encouraging, and I think that does open up the door for more potential in free agency, Hannah. And I will say the last point you made there, Todd Monken is actually one of the more analytically minded head coaches. Well, not head coach because he hasn't been head coach before, but more analytically inclined coaches in the NFL. He's a big analytics guy. And this is where we've had this discussion multiple times on the show, but it's worth bringing back up again. Analytics is huge. I use stats and numbers and figures all the time for all these players, for everything that I look at. It's not so much, I'm trying to think how to explain it. Analytics are important. You have to use them. You need them. They can tell you things, identify things that you might not be able to see just with your eye. But you also have to use your eyes. You also have to be able to watch film and evaluate and scout freaking football players. You need to be able to do both. And that's the issue I think Browns fans have had most. I hear all the time, get rid of these analytics. I understand where you're coming from. I understand what you mean. What you mean is quit using freaking analytics as the end-all be-all for everything. Blake says it all the time. Use analytics as a tool to make good decisions. Quit using it as a freaking crutch because you can't use anything else, because you don't know how to scout or you don't know how to evaluate talent. That's the problem. So I think Todd Monken brings that ideal blend of using analytics and being a football guy together. And that's what we want in Cleveland. I don't want to get rid of analytics. Are you kidding me? We need them. We need analytics. Otherwise, you're going to miss out on some things that, let's just leave it at that. But you also need to be able to be a football-minded person without the analytics overruling what you see with your eyes. So I like the fact that he is very strong-rooted in both football and analytics. Hannah, thank you for the voicemail. I know there's another one from you in the queue. We'll get to it next week is my plan, because this is the last voicemail for today. This one is from my little buddy, Cooper.
Hey guys, Cooper Belvin back again. I know I've not called in a long time, but I was just wondering, who are y'all rooting for the Super Bowl? Seahawks or New England? I'm rooting for Seahawks because I do not like New England. Seahawks maybe NFC, Patriots AFC. I know we're supposed to hate the NFC, but still, I think the Seahawks should win one, not the Patriots. We do not want them becoming the best team in the fleeping NFL. I mean, the freaking NFL. I would like to hear what y'all think or who y'all think should win.
Cooper, is your dad listening to the way you, that mouth of yours? No, I'm just messing with you, buddy. Yeah, Super Bowl tonight. Going to be a great game. That's if you guys are watching or listening to this on Sunday. But, first of all, I don't hate the NFC. I hate the freaking Steelers. I hate the Ravens. And I hate the Bengals. I hate the AFC North. That's who I hate. And like I said, don't hate the NFC because I'm rooting for the Seahawks. I would like to see the Seahawks win. I think the Seahawks are the clear better team. The Patriots, I know they get a lot of flack this year for not having faced the most difficult schedule, and their path to the Super Bowl was a cakewalk by a lot of people. There is no cakewalk to get to the Super Bowl. It just doesn't exist. They still had to go out and win difficult games, but I think that their match will be met in this one. The Seahawks defense is legit. It's freaking insane. And not to mention Clint Kubiak, the offensive coordinator there, who's about to be the head coach of the Raiders after this game. Just brilliant on that side of the mind. That offense is humming. It's clicking. Sam Darnold, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Kenneth Walker. They just, when you pair that kind of an offense with the defense that they have, that elite defense, that's what we're trying to do here in Cleveland. We've got a strong defense. Let's just get an offense that can complement these guys. So I've got the Seahawks. Probably, if I had to predict a score, I'd say 24-20. I don't think it's a blowout. I do think New England is a good team, and I think that they also have a good defense. They also have a good offense. I think it's going to be a good game. I really do. But ultimately, I believe Seattle wins out. If the game has already happened when you're watching this, you guys can tell me if I'm right. And if I'm wrong, I know you'll tell me about that. So that's it for today. Thank you guys for the voicemails. I got more queued up for next week. We'll get to those later. Let me know what you guys think about Mock Draft 3.0. Send in your mocks at thedawgspodcast.com if you want me to take a look at them. Maybe I'll read them on the show in future episodes and things like that. Happy Super Bowl Sunday. I hope you guys enjoy the game and your week starts off well. I'll be back sometime next week. We'll get Blake and Justin in here. We'll bring you guys some more content. Until I see you guys in the next episode, let's go Browns.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dawgs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at the Dawgs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedawgspodcast.com.
This episode is sponsored by Butcher Box for Pets. Browns fans, we love our fellow dogs, our Dog Pack members, and the Dog Pound faithful, but let's not kid ourselves. The most important dogs in our lives are, well, our dogs. Your furry friends aren't just pets, they're part of the family. But the question is, what are you actually feeding them? Head to butcherbox4pets.com/products to see all the options for your dogs, including fresh and dry foods, treats, meal toppers, and even toys for your dog. If you're not sure what your dog will like best, try the Premium Nutrition Adult Starter Pack, and they even have a vacation bundle to take care of your four-legged friends while you're on vacation this summer. And right now you can get 20% off your order with promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, when you check out. At ButcherBox, they believe in real ingredients. Their pet foods have been developed and certified by vet nutritionists to contain zero artificial flavors or preservatives. You get protein-packed formula with over 50% of the recipe comprised of third-party certified humane ButcherBox meat, plus functional ingredients like pre- and postbiotics to support your dog's vitality and digestion. I know that sounds like a lot, but the bottom line is your dogs are getting the nutrition and the value they need, and honestly, that they deserve. I know our home wouldn't be the same without Odie, our 100-pound golden retriever who thinks he's a 10-pound lap dog. He is not, but it gives us peace of mind knowing that we're giving him quality food instead of just that factory processed garbage from the store. And speaking of the store, no need to go. ButcherBox for Pets delivers their high-quality food right to your door. So head to butcherboxforpets.com/products and use promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, for 20% off your order. It's time for us dogs to give our dogs the nutrition they deserve.